We know it is the weight of our sin that accelerates us into the seasons at the bottom. But here's the amazing, unbelievable thing, a profound mystery, as Paul says. A man shall leave his father and mother and hold fast to his wife, and the two shall become one flesh. And I am saying that it refers to Christ and the church. Ephesians chapter 5, verses 31 to 32. Marriage refers to Christ and the church. Every marriage, no matter how pendulum-like because of our sin, every marriage, even if the couple doesn't care a bit about Jesus. To change metaphors, God designed marriage to be a picture. That makes me ask myself, how clear and well-focused is the portrait of Jesus that our marriage is displaying? I love using my tiny digital camera, but the larger and more complex a subject, the more nearly impossible it is to represent it well and completely. No single photograph can show someone how magnificent the Grand Canyon is. It's true that my shortcomings as a photographer do nothing to change the majesty of that natural wonder. Still, some snapshots do give a better idea than others of the grandeur. I want to take that clearer kind of picture of the Grand Canyon, and that's the kind of image of Jesus I want our marriage to portray. I pray that this book, by my favorite preacher, will focus the lenses of many marriages, so that the portrait of Christ and his bride is sharp and clear. Introduction. Marriage and Martyrdom. Dietrich Bonhoeffer was engaged to be married to Maria von Wedemeyer when he was hanged at dawn on April 9, 1945, at the age of 39. As a young pastor in Germany, he had been opposed to Nazism and was finally arrested on April 5, 1943, for his involvement in a conspiracy to assassinate Adolf Hitler. So he never married. He skipped the shadow on the way to the reality. Some are called to one kind of display of the worth of Christ, some to another. Martyrdom, not marriage, was his calling. Being married in the moment of death is both a sweet and bitter providence. Sweet, because at the precipice of eternity the air is crystal clear, and you see more plainly than ever the precious things that really matter about your imperfect lover. But being married at death is also bitter, because the suffering is doubled as one watches the other die, or even quadrupled if both are dying, and more if there is a child. One flesh, even in death. That was the case with John and Betty Stam. They were missionaries with China Inland Mission. Having met each other at Moody Bible Institute, they sailed for China separately, she in 1931, he a year later. They were married by Reuben A. Torrey on October 25, 1933, in Sinan. John was 26, Betty was 27. The region was already dangerous because of the civil war between the Chinese Nationalist Party and the Chinese Communist Party. On September 11, 1934, Helen Priscilla was born. 3 months later, her parents were beheaded by the Communists on a hill outside Miaoxiu, while tiny Helen lay hidden where her mother left her with $10 in her blanket. Geraldine Taylor, the daughter-in-law of Hudson Taylor, the founder of the China Inland Mission, published the story of the Stams' martyrdom 2 years after their death. Every time I read it, the compounding of the preciousness and the pain by the marriage and the baby make me weep. Never was that little one more precious than when they looked their last on her baby sweetness, as they were roughly summoned the next morning and led out to die. Painfully bound with ropes, their hands behind them, stripped of their outer garments, and John barefooted, he had given Betty his socks to wear, they passed down the street where he was known to many, while the Reds shouted their ridicule and called the people to come and see the execution. Like their master, they were led up a little hill outside the town. There, in a clump of pine trees, the Communists harangued the unwilling onlookers, too terror-stricken to utter protest. But no, one broke the ranks. The doctor of the place and a Christian, he expressed the feelings of many when he fell on his knees and pleaded for the life of his friends. Angrily repulsed by the Reds, he still persisted, until he was dragged away as a prisoner, to suffer death when it appeared that he too was a follower of Christ. John had turned to the leader of the band, asking mercy for this man, when he was sharply ordered to kneel, and the look of joy on his face afterwards told of the unseen presence with them as his spirit was released. Betty was seen to quiver, but only for a moment. Bound as she was